Wallabies and Springboks, folks. It's gone like last week, but a step further with the Wallabies doing the double over the Boks. It's 30 points to 17, and this time it's a bonus point. Massive congratulations to the Wallabies. That's a huge result for them. A big turnaround after 2 weeks ago, and for the Springboks, it's a bit of back to the drawing board with 2 losses on the trot. So, it's interesting time for both sides. We'll have a look at the key events of this game, some of the stats, and you guys can let me know your thoughts on the game itself. Key kind of plays early. Kiwi was looking dangerous early for the Wallabies. Not that you'd know it's him because you couldn't see the number on his jersey. You'd have to know him by sight, which fortunately, if you know Kiwi, you probably do. But man, if you're looking from a distance and you can't make the players out, you can't tell the Wallabies numbers from the numbers on their back because they're virtually invisible from the wide shots anyway. But he gets a line break, does Kiwi, offloads to Valtini, they get it to Fainga. Fainga throws an off-the-deck pass to Callaway, but he's not ready for it. He knocks it on, and to be fair, both sides are a wee bit guilty of some kind of poor mistakes like that. But the Boks, their scrum and their maul, both looking pretty ominous early, both won penalties, and by 10 minutes, the Boks had a 5-metre line out because they turned down their first shot at goal. I was wondering, man, have they not got faith in Pollard's boot? They would revert back to Pollard's boot a bit later, but their first kind of kickable one they turned down. Because the maul had so much pay last week, they opted for that maul. The Aussies were driving, and they gave away the first penalty at maul time for this, driving as quick as they could. They were too quick off the mark in the first one. That's why they got penalised. But they were just absolutely ready to shut down this maul. Because it was such a weakness for them last week, they'd clearly prepped it. And they shut down this one on 10 minutes. Etzebeth gets penalised for kind of crawling along the ground. Kind of a bit out of jail for the Wallabies there when you're thinking, man, at maul time they could be punished, but they'd prepped for it. They drove maybe just a bit early again, but it was borderline. But either way, the maul defence of the Wallabies was phenomenal. In this game. As I said, they prepped it and their prep paid off. De Klerk ends up getting yellow carded a couple of minutes later for slapping the ball out of Nick White's hands when the Wallabies had advantage, so it was a cynical play from him. Bit of a silly one, doesn't need to do that. And from the line out that the Wallabies set, because they don't go for any points either, they go 2 phases and get the ball to Ikitau. He's got a one-on-one versus Pollard. Pollard's a pretty solid defender. He's a bit of a unit for a number 10. Ikitau beats him, ends up, man, and it's 5 points to 0 to the Wallabies. They immediately punish the Springboks for that yellow card. Quaid misses the conversion, which is uncharacteristic from last week. The Wallabies, for them, it's unfortunate. They concede a penalty not long after. It's a few minutes later, and the Springboks sensibly opt to kick for the sticks because you've got a man down. Even if you miss the kick, you eat a minute off the clock, but they do kick it, so it's 5 points to 3 during the yellow card. But Ikitau, right before the yellow card is done, he gets his double. The guy was pretty quiet last week, especially ball in hand, and within like 20 minutes in this game, he's got 2 tries on the board. It was pretty phenomenal stuff. This one was the Boks shutting down the Aussie line-out move, but after a few phases, Tupou, and he was immense, gets the Aussies over the advantage line. I think he might have beaten Pollard again. Pollard missed 2 tackles in this game. I think it might have been those 2. Korobredi gets a sick offload to Ikitau, and it's a great conversion from the sideline from Quade Cooper to make it 12 points to 3. So that's the score during the yellow card as well. The Wallabies clock on 12 points. The Springboks get 3 back. So it's a 9-point differential between the yellow cards. So it's a pretty good result for the Wallabies guys. Pollard kicks a 50-22 on 23 minutes. He was clearly pretty fired up trying to get the team back into it, but there was a loose box ball after another. They had another big scrum, but it was a bit of loose ball, but they still went back for the penalty, and it's 12 points to 6. So the Boks kind of keeping the scoreboard ticking over, which is the sensible thing to do when you haven't quite got that momentum. And they were looking to kind of push their way into the game with the momentum from about that period on. I felt like the Wallabies probably had the better of the first 20, but the second 20 of that first half, I will certainly give it to the Boks. Tom Banks had to go off with an arm injury. It looks pretty bad. I think he's gone to hospital, so wishing him well. I think he was actually having one of his better games. The Wallabies get a penalty at the breakdown from that play. I think it was, maybe that was the play that actually he got injured. But either way, they kick it and it's 15 points to 6. Callaway tackles Lucanio in the air. So that's jumping for a high pass. He probably, though, saves the try because he shoots out of the line. Look, you've seen Lucanio do and many other times when it's the role reversal. So yeah, Callaway shoots out, gets him a little bit early, but probably shuts down what would have been a pretty dangerous Springboks move. So he gets his timing just wrong. They concede a penalty and they opt to take it. So it's 15 points to 9. The game's getting close. Inyakani has to go off as well. Not long after Banks has gone off, but at least Inyakani gets to come back on instead of going to hospital. Swinton on 32 minutes almost gets red carded, and it's pretty poor tackling technique. He's way too upright when he goes in on Dwayne Vermeulen. I didn't think it was red card territory. I thought, man, yellow, penalty. Again, don't quote me on those laws around the tackle stuff because sometimes they're a nightmare, but either way, it's poor tackling technique. Not much of a wrap, not much of an arm in the tackle, and way too upright. Really bad tackling, and he pays for it for a yellow card. The TMO talks the ref out of the red. The ref is initially calling for a red. So it's a difference in 10 minutes and whether Swinton can come back on, which is, I guess, a better talking point than should the Wallabies have down to 14 men for the rest of the game, which is maybe one of the benefits of that 20-minute red card. But either way, it's not a red card. It is a yellow. The Boks get a penalty about 5 minutes later with the Wallabies offside. They kick it. It's 15-12. And that's how it goes in at halftime. So it's a three-pointer. It's a pretty tight game. Nothing much in it. The possession is with the Boks, 64%, but the territory is with the Wallabies, 51%. Wallabies have had more run meters, 146 to 97. But the Boks tackling percent is bad. It's 72% in that first half, which for the Boks is astronomically low. Terribly, terribly low. The Boks are an 85+% team. They don't miss that many tackles. 72% is really bad. I haven't seen them that bad since that Rugby World Cup game against the All Blacks, where they let in some really soft tries. The Wallabies, on the other hand, are at 93, which is phenomenal. So a big contrast in the size, but there's only 3 points in it. So it's still very tight. And then the Boks come out firing, man. Lucanio gets his try in 42 minutes. It's a well-worked piece. Faf with the nice little... He initially takes the quick tap from a penalty. Nkosi has a nice step. They get over the advantage line, and then Faf puts in a little grubber. Lucanio goes in basically untouched, man. He's got so much time to dot the ball down in the end goal. So, yeah, they missed the conversion, but they're in front. The Springboks are finally in front, and it's 17 points to 15. But that's the end of the scoring. No more points would go on the board for the Boks. Not the same for the Wallabies. They get a penalty on 49. That one, Vincent Koch almost gets like his thumb in Quade Cooper's eye, which was a bit of a weird one. Quade seemed a wee bit sore, but either way, he still stood up and kicked the penalty to put the Wallabies back in front, 18-17. From there, you get a bit of a helter-skelter period where there's a heap of errors from both sides. Aussie's line-out move, they get it to Faenga, who throws it to Samu when Samu's got his arms up behind, by his head, where he's clearly not in a position to catch the ball. Faf he loses his footing when he's going for a box kick, so both sides kind of some weird errors. But then the Wallabies get it right. Eventually, on 62 minutes, Taniela Tupou, huge big run, and the slickest of inside passes for a prop to be thrown to Korobidi. He goes in, and that's a heck of a try, man. They get the conversion as well, 25 points to 17. Big conversion to make it more than a one-score lead. And then Korobidi, whose tries usually get disallowed for whatever reason, for whatever team he's playing for, he gets a double. He gets one on 68, so it's 4 tries for the Wallabies. That puts them 3 tries in front of the Springboks. It's bonus point territory. It's Hodge who wins a turnover at the breakdown. Pete Samu gets a line break. He beats LaRue, but LaRue gets enough of him to make him lose his balance. But then eventually they get it out to Korobidi, he beats Vincent Koch for pace, obviously. And Damon Delender's got 2 guys to mark. Korobidi shapes... enough to keep Damien Delender interested in the man outside him, so Korobidi just keeps running, goes over for the try. So 30 points to 17. They missed that conversion, which kept it as a 2-score game. So with just over 10 minutes to go, certainly not game over. The Springboks had their chances. They had a penalty They went for touch, 7-metre line out, huge maul defence from the Wallabies. But then the Wallabies lost like a 5-metre scrum. 5-metre line out, sorry. So the pressure went straight back on them. Then the Boks had a 5-metre line out. And after a scrum penalty that the Wallabies conceded, it was just a real hectic phase. But then it was not straight from the Springboks, so it took another let off. Karevi wins a turnover. Jasper Wiese hits him slightly after the whistle, and it's kind of, again, it's a bit of a dumb no arms one into him, way too high, so he gets yellow carded. They had 3 chances to line out Morlip, and the Wallabies just kept shutting it down. The amount of times that the Wallabies shut down the Springboks maul, and the Wallabies pack was so committed to waiting, not jumping, and driving. You were begging the Springboks, come on, like, do that 3 times, and then the 4th time, just spin the bloody thing wide. They're not going to see it coming. All the Aussie forwards are going to be so committed to that maul. You can have numbers if you get your forwards to peel off, I don't know, do something. They didn't do nothing. It was just trying to maul it, and it wasn't working. It wasn't working. It was such a weapon last week. The Wallabies figured it out, man. Run meters finished 347 to 310, so pretty tight. Position 43.57 to the Boks. Territory 42.58 to the Boks. But clean breaks 6-1 to the Wallabies. Defenders beaten 20-5 to the Wallabies. Tackling percentage 96%. The Wallabies make 117 out of a potential 122. Which is a phenomenal effort, man. Herculean effort. The Springboks, 77%, man. For them, that's low. 68 out of a potential 88. So that's 20 missed tackles. Obviously, that's the 20 defenders beaten for the Wallabies. Crazy stuff, man. Ikitau finishes with 68 run meters, 2 defenders beaten. 2 clean breaks and 3 defenders beaten. Tupou finishes with 20 run meters, a clean break and 4 defenders beaten. Michael Hooper, though, he's not going to get as much of the glory for this one because it was the likes of Karevi and Ikitau and Tupou. But Hooper, 20 out of 20 tackles. Proper warrior, that man as well. The Boks did get the ball a bit wider than last week. Mapimpi had 6 runs, 43 metres, so that was way more than anything we saw last week. Nkosi had 4 runs for 24 metres. Did I say Mapimpi had 4 or 6? He had 6. But yeah, some unusual guys missing tackles, man. Vermeulen is 2 out of 4. Pollard's 5 from 7, Armour's 4 from 6, so just those kind of 2 missed tackles here, 2 missed tackles there, that adds up, man. But yeah, still the discipline, I guess, for the Wallabies is a wee bit of a concern. 17 penalties conceded to 10 by the Boks, but a few of those were kind of scrum and maul, especially early on. But yeah, crazy game. The Wallabies, I think, are still in 3rd, but they've got a couple of games up against Argentina now to try and close a bit of a gap on the table, and the Boks will need to, I think, do a double over the All Blacks to have a chance at the trophy. I'll have to have a look at the mathematics of the table. I haven't looked at it. If the All Blacks get this result, I'm not sure they can be caught. I'll need to double check. But anyway, congratulations to the Wallabies. Huge victory. Really, the prep they did during the week to shut down the Springboks maul was great. Their work under the high ball still needs development because Hodgie or Banks sometimes pretty poor. It was good to see the Boks spin the ball a wee bit, but the defence was not there. And a bit more imagination sometimes because when plan A wasn't working, there didn't seem to be that much of a plan B at times. But anyway, you guys let me know your thoughts. We've still got the All Blacks and the Pumas to go tonight, so I'm going to go watch that one in about 20 minutes. So you guys take care. I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.